Hi, everybody. Welcome to this latest episode of Real Talk with Rick, the podcast relating to all things Eden Prairie. My guest this episode is the supervisor of our city's senior center. Sue Bohnsack is the senior center supervisor, and she has been overseeing the senior center in Eden Prairie for the past 11 plus years. And if you don't know where our senior center is, I don't think we mention it in the podcast, but it is on Eden Prairie Road between Highway 212 and Pioneer Trail on the west side. It actually used to be City Hall. It's the old City Hall, is now the Eden Prairie Senior Center. And so Sue and I start talking about even the term senior. Does the term senior still apply, considering that we have a lot of active adults and people are living a lot longer and doing a lot more? But you'll hear that there are still quite a few people in that older echelon that frequent our center, and it's still important that we call it a senior center and label it as such. But yet there's a lot of different activities in addition to the popular cards and bridge that people want to play. There are several other activities that are going on there, trips, and even some zip lining if you're interested in doing that. So in this conversation, I talk with Sue about our senior center here in Eden Prairie, and you also get to learn a little bit about the person that runs the entire operation. So here is my conversation with Sue Bohnsack, Senior Center Supervisor. Sue, thank you for coming in. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Sue, you are the Senior Center Supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
And the term senior, I even think about the term senior center, seems to be a little bit of a misnomer these days, or even a stereotype. Before we get into all that goes on at our center, maybe we'll start there, kind of that term senior or older adult. What are your thoughts on that?
A lot of people asked me that when I first started working here, and I really am very confident that a senior needs to brace where they're at. And changing the name to a senior center, it just doesn't make sense, because people change it to the Cup Center, and everybody says, what's the Cup Center? And you have to describe it by saying it's a senior center. So keeping it the same just makes sense, because people identify with it, and that's where people are going to go look for it. So I want to change the image and make it a very fun and outgoing and great place to be, and people are going to look at what's in it and not necessarily the name that's on the building.
Sure. I just think that, all of us, everyone's living a lot longer. So you could, when you use the term senior and 55 plus, I mean, people could be active for 30 some years. But yeah, I suppose you're right. If you rename it, you probably have to explain that anyway. So it's a term we're going to continue to use, but as you said, maybe how the image or how it's branded, it has changed, because
Absolutely.
The activities are not the activities of the typical quote-unquote senior center of 20 years ago, right?
Yes, we have a lot of very active things that happen. We have our regular passive activities that happen on a daily basis. But I look at it, I think the 60-year-olds today are 70, and our 70-year-olds are 80. So the typical 55-year-old are still out, very, very active, working, involved. So we're really focusing on those that are maybe just a little bit older, and still very active and wanting to participate, recreate, and learn.
Okay. So would you say that a big chunk then of those that are spending a lot of time at the senior center are, we're talking 70, 80? Not even a lot of 60-year-olds are still working?
I think so.
Okay.
I think they're staying young and they're staying active, and they want to keep doing what they've always done. They're working a little bit longer, or maybe working a little less, but still involved in their fields. And that's where I want to grab them, that they're still involved, they're still educated, and they still want to do what they're doing, and then I can use them as educators at the senior center or participants in learning something new.
Okay. Well, let's kind of dive into what goes on down there. I mean, I've been there on a number of occasions at different times, and yes, there's still a lot of cards to be played.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of activity. So maybe take me through a typical week. Like right now, Monday, it's a Monday morning. What's happening today? What's happening the rest of this week?
Right now we have an intellectual discussion group where it's really talking about current events, what's going on today. Can get a little controversial. But we have a moderator that keeps it going. And then at the same time, we have in another room more of a discussion, more of a what's going on today, how was your family, what did you do over the weekend, so that you have the two different type of atmospheres where people can feel comfortable talking about whatever they want to talk about. Then this afternoon, we'll have duplicate bridge. And other activities, depending upon the week, we'll have a bus trip that might go to the Old Log. We might do a day trip on a coach bus where they'll go all the way to Wisconsin, down to Iowa, wherever it is to see a concert or tour some sort of organization. Then we have other things such as poker group. That's pretty new. Come in and play Texas Hold'em. Get some volunteers to come in and deal. They're pretty loud. they get involved.
Get excited.
They're right outside my office.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we have the card games, the cribbage and poker and hand and foot. A lot of bridge.
A lot of bridge. We said duplicate. See, I've played a lot of cards. Bridge is something I haven't played, but what does duplicate bridge mean?
Duplicate bridge, a little more intense, a little more knowledge of the game, a little bit more. Everyone plays the same hand, so you're competing on who plays that hand the best. So we could have 10 tables of duplicate bridge, and at one moment they're all playing the same hand. And that's just...
Okay. So my bridge story at the senior center is we did a state of the city down there, the school superintendent and I, a couple months ago, the spring, maybe before the summer. And I think we were at like 11 o'clock and bridge was starting at noon. And nothing against superintendent, love the guy, but I think his presentation went about 45 minutes, which left me, which is understandable. They had a referendum, a lot going on. And that left about 15 minutes for me, which I'm fine with, right? But I had to announce the minute I started speaking that I promise you I will be done by noon, because there was a group of people in the back of that room in the senior center that were starting to chant, bridge, bridge, bridge. I promise you, you will not miss bridge. I can give a city update in 10 to 15 minutes. Superintendent did a great job. We were done and bridge was on.
They are passionate about their bridge game.
I know. I learned that quickly. The discussion, by the way, just to clarify for me, you talked about in at the same time in one room there's an intellectual discussion, and then in the other room it's more like personal. Mm-hmm. What did you say?
Social.
So will you watch people walk from the intellectual room into the other room when they say, I don't want any more of this, I'm done with it? Okay. All right.
No.
So it doesn't get that heated then?
It's the personality of the person that's there to kind of express what they're interested in talking about. So it may not be that they want to talk about politics. So they'll go to the other group.
I think you have book club too.
Yep, we got a couple book clubs, a little bit smaller book club, social, and then Wednesday morning book club. There's 22, 24 people that attend that book club. So it's very, very intellectual and very fun.
Good. What would you say are the most popular activities? And maybe you talked about cards being most popular. Are there any other activities that are a big draw?
I think, the cards, just because it's a repetitive. You come every Tuesday, you come every Thursday, so it's big groups. But our coach trips generally fill up pretty quickly. People want to get out and about. They want to go see. They want to go do. And having it all done for you, and you don't have to worry about how long it's going to take you to get there, how much is it going to cost, all that. It's one fee up front, and then they just enjoy their day. So coach trips and going to the Capitol. That's been a very positive one. I think I've done at least 10 trips there over the last couple of years.
Okay.
And they want to go see the new Capitol.
The new Capitol.
When you get dropped off at the front door and you don't have to worry where to park, and lunch is going to be right around the corner, you don't have to worry about all that. They like that.
That's good. And then in the trips too, like you said, it could be anything from concert, play, casino, the Capitol. And you have, it fills up pretty quickly. You have like an advanced registration. Yep.
Register ahead of time. We have limited number of people. If we use our city buses or if we use a coach bus, we partner with other cities to assure that we fill those buses up and keep the price as low as possible for everyone. So it's a good variety.
Okay. And there's some newer activities, right? Do you have people ziplining now, I hear?
We
Is
do.
that going on?
We do.
Okay.
I live in Jordan, and so I partner down with the Sand Creek Adventures, and this is our third year of taking a group down to the ziplining. This year I had one gal who was 80, said, it's on my bucket list, I want to do this. And when she got there, she wasn't quite sure. So we talked a little bit. She said, I didn't tell my kids I was doing this, just in case I backed out. But all in the end, she got up to the front there. She said, I'm going to do this, and jumped off the ledge.
Oh, that's good. And then when it was done, was happy she did, right?
All
no
three
regrets.
lines, got to the bottom, looked right into her eyes, and she said, best thing I've ever done.
That's good.
Yep.
Well, if you don't have a little bit of nervousness, trepidation, it probably doesn't make it as exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing, too, that's happening is programming has increased, I think, by 300% over the last couple of years by adding more than, I think there's like 30 programs. What is the process where you go into deciding or thinking about what might be a new activity, what might be a new event or trip? I think you talked about the Capitol, right?
Yep.
So going to the Capitol is something that it had just recently been renovated, so there might be a desire to go. So obviously you and your staff, Josh, whomever, maybe your board, we can talk about the board in a little bit, plan that. So maybe talk through some of that programming and how you think about new programming and have new programming.
Yep, just getting involved in the community, seeing what's coming. If the Capitol is redone, then you want to go out there and see that. Interviewing, talking with the seniors, finding out what it is that they're interested in doing and noting that. And then we do evaluations after a lot of our programs, and they'll jot down something that they might be interested in, and I'll take those following through. So if they give a suggestion, following through and actually doing it, and that gets them kind of excited about, hey, this was my idea and kind of fun. We did a breadsmith tour not too long ago, something I probably not on everybody's forefront of their mind, but somebody's was their interest, and we filled it up right away. Just went over to a bakery and got to kind of see the background scenes of how that all works, and then went to a cupcake shop and lunch, and it just kind of all comes together with senior input.
Yeah, and so in terms of senior input, you get a lot of just general senior input. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, on everything, right? Everything.
Good, bad, and in between.
The chairs and the tables to the games. It's just part of the deal that you signed up for. But you do have a advisory board, right?
Yes.
So how does that work?
Every year we turn over between 5 and 6 new individuals that might want to be on the board. We meet monthly, and they just give good input on how programs are going and maybe give some insight on something that might want to be tried or something new. Give input on what food we're going to be serving at our special events. And then they are our right-hand people right there volunteering, being at the events, serving the food, and making sure that all our events go well.
That's good. I know I've been at a few like volunteer recognition, and you'll have people that have stepped up to serve on the board, but also people that are drivers and people that run certain events or people that just want to volunteer and help out. So you have a pretty good stable of volunteers. I do 65 plus volunteers. I have a volunteer connected to almost every program, because that way you have that one person coming to you for needs, or something's not going quite right, or everything is going wonderful. The individuals that participate have a person to go to if Josh and I aren't right there and available. So I count on them to make sure that everyday programming really happens. And so it's nice having them. Good. Well, you just mentioned Josh. So Josh is your our other full-time city employee, your right-hand person, right? Yes, Josh is recreation specialist. Has been there just over a year now, and everything's going wonderful. He's getting to know the seniors. They're getting to know him, knowing those things that he likes to do, going golfing and things like that. They come up and ask him those type of questions, so getting involved. Yeah, I got to meet Josh, and I think there's one connection he and I really made. We made just a connection immediately. I know that he had a position prior to that, the community center as well, but just him being a Packer fan, I think probably brings a lot to the senior center that wouldn't be there if we didn't have a Packer fan there. You know, I'm not sure that that's the
full truth on that, but I do know he is a Packer fan.
Okay.
But I think we might have more Viking fans at the senior center than Packer fans.
I've heard that. I can understand that. You have created, from what I've seen and heard, a really good atmosphere where people can gather and connect, and you've talked about that with some of the programs. When you think about what makes that a comfortable place, what are just some ingredients or maybe words or phrases or thoughts, Sue, when you think about the importance of that?
I guess just my personality, warm, outgoing, welcoming. My goal is to make sure that every senior that walks in the door gets help, whether it's a resource or finding a new friend or an activity for them to fill their time. And really the activities that we offer, the variety. There's always something for every personality or interest. And just being willing to try some things that maybe I didn't think would be interesting, but all of a sudden it's one of the most popular programs. So it takes a whole group. So with Josh's input, and when Doug used to work there and Mary used to work there, and they still all here still work in the city, it was a partnership between all of us, just listening and doing and making it a welcoming atmosphere by a smile on your face and people feeling comfortable walking in the door. That's
great. And I know there are people that come in on a regular basis. You know them on a first name basis. You probably know their, ins and outs and preferences, but you might see a new person, right? Or you might see someone bringing a new friend. So that's their first time. That's their first impression. So do you see that quite a bit?
I do. There's a lot of new seniors moving into Eden Prairie. We have 4 new senior housing coming in, and they're looking for something to do. They're looking for a way to find out more about their city, and the senior center is a great place to come with the resources and just knowledge of 11 years being in the city. And it's the first time visit. You want to do that tour. You want to tell them as much as you can. They often tell me I talk fast, and I say I talk fast because I love what I do and I have a lot to tell you. But
yeah.
Our newsletter, 19 pages of great information. Give them a little snippet of what I want them to know, but then the newsletter goes home with them and tells them everything that happens.
That's a good point, because it's got, like I asked you about, tell me about this week. What's a calendar of events? And you open up to page 3 and 4, and there's a full layout of what all the events are.
Figure it out what goes on daily, weekly, monthly, and then all the special events are right there. And our communications department does an awesome job on helping me create a great newsletter so that everybody gets the information in a timely manner and everybody gets to come.
Yeah, so you'll have, someone might be looking for something specific, and you could point to what is in the newsletter or the activities or the calendar. I think you said once in a while you might get a new idea from a new member or a current member. So can you think about, we don't need to use people's names, but are there kind of any funny or interesting stories? You said 11 years you've been there. Are there any good stories that kind of jump out to you from your time there?
Well, there's always the uncomfortable ones maybe, but we
those
don't
are the best ones for the podcast. The uncomfortable ones are always the ones that we want to put on the podcast.
Yes.
Again, you don't have to name names.
We have a gentleman. He is an active woodshop member, has been for many years, but just a few years ago his wife had passed away, and I really think that the woodshop has been his core, where he feels comfortable, he feels at home, he's got friends, he has somewhere to go every day. We put him in charge of volunteering for a lot of the little pieces that need to be done, so he feels needed, wanted, and comfortable there. And so I think that's helped him get through a difficult time. We've had that happen with another gentleman. His daughter said, I'm going to take you to the senior center and you're going to start participating, but it wasn't in his heart. It wasn't what he was looking for. But once he kind of started the exercise program at the community center, he started making a couple of friends. They said, hey, let's go on this trip together. And all of a sudden now I see him 3 to 4 times a week at the senior center. So it's making those connections and feeling comfortable where they're at. And now maybe they're a little bit happier because of it. That's an accomplishment on our side.
That's good. I mean, I don't know why I had this image of when you talked about him being dropped off at the senior center and I don't want to go and you'll like it. It's kind of like, reminds me of like being dropped off at kindergarten. The parent says, go, you're going to like it, it'll be okay. It's kind of a cycle of life thing.
Absolutely.
But that's no. And the wood shop, the wood shop is kind of I guess I'd call it a growth area, a popular area. Sure. I think I've been here a little over 8 years, and I remember when that was getting going, and every single year I hear more and more about the popularity. So that's a big hit. I mean, that physical location wood shop at the senior center has been a big hit.
Absolutely. Plenty of people that come daily, weekly, monthly. They have a job to do. They have accomplishment they want to make. The mess is there, and they don't have to have all that equipment at their house anymore. Or maybe somebody that's downsizing. They don't have room for all that equipment, but they love to work in the wood shop. They come in and see the atmosphere. They see all the equipment, and they're like, found myself a new place to hang out.
Yeah, that's good. Well, you yourself, you are an award-winning employee who is actually award-winning at the state level. You received an achievement award this past year from the Minnesota Association of Senior Services for your outstanding work, you individually, Sue, so congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And then my question would be then, you said doing this for 11 years. Why have you personally chosen to dedicate most of your career to doing this?
I didn't.
Okay. All right. Give us some background.
I went to college, really was going to be a teacher, and ended up in recreation. Somebody passing by said something about their degree being in recreation. I said, "You mean you're actually going to play for the rest of your life?" And I said, "Sign me up." So switched my major, went into recreation, and I was going to work with young children in a hospital setting, but those jobs are few and far between. So I started my path out in a senior center working in therapeutic recreation, and my path wasn't my choice. It's always just been a door is open to me, and in the field that I'm in and the population. And the longer you work with a population, the more knowledge you get, the more connections you make. It's easy. And now I don't know if I'd ever switch out of this field. I really love the people that I work with, the knowledge, the fun that they have, the feedback you get. It's always rewarding.
Good. I think there's quite a few people that say, I didn't plan on doing this. I'm doing it. Maybe I'll do it for a few years. Maybe I'll do it for 3 or 5 years. And then the next thing you know, it's the majority of your career, but by choice, because like you said, it's been rewarding for you.
Yep.
That's good. So talking about you personally, getting to know you a little bit, when your friends and peers, what's something they would say you are best known for?
Well, at any point, if you are coming to a food gathering and somebody says, "What should I bring?" Strawberries. Strawberries. Doesn't matter if family's getting together or friends are getting together, there is always strawberries, because Sue likes strawberries.
In all forms?
Doesn't matter.
What would be like just strawberries, desserts with strawberries,
pretty much
drinks mixed with strawberry in them, strawberry daiquiris, strawberry margaritas, strawberry.
Anything strawberry.
Okay.
Anything strawberry.
Okay.
Yep. All
right, good. So you're the strawberry person.
Yes.
When you think about a perfect day, what does a perfect day look like?
The warmer the better.
Okay.
With my kids, my husband, my family, and my friends all together in one camping setting with my camper, maybe a cold beverage in my hand, some water on my feet, and just watching the kids having fun and interacting.
Good. Well, strawberries are somewhere apart.
Strawberries in my drink, on my plate.
Strawberries in your drink. Okay.
Yes.
When you think about the worst household chore there is, what would that be?
All of them? No, not
all of them. There are many of them.
I guess dishes. It's always a constant fight on who's going to do the dishes.
What about, you have kids?
I do.
Yeah.
And 2 of them are in college now, so it's coming back. You have kids, so they can
come
do
back
all
and
the
do
dishes.
the dishes.
Left.
Did they ever do the dishes when they were there in high
Yes.
school? They did.
Absolutely.
You've got one up
because I didn't want
me.
to do them.
Well, good for you. That's awesome. For me, it was a matter of just cleaning up what you've messed up, let alone doing the family dishes.
Yes.
Wow. What would be something that most people haven't done, but you have?
I had an incredible opportunity because of a very good friend of mine to drive in a demolition derby. I had my own car. It was purple. had a 4 on it. There might have been a strawberry somewhere on the car.
Yeah.
But they helped me create the car, fix the car, get the car all running, and I got to drive in a demolition derby. It's pretty cool.
That is. Where was that? How many cars were participated?
It was a powder puff, so it was all women.
Okay.
And you have to be 16 and older. And there was there had to be about eight or 9 cars.
Uh-huh.
And the adrenaline rush, I barely remember it by the time you get into the stadium. And it was at the Scott County Fair.
Yes.
So.
Yep. Did you win?
I did not.
Okay.
I did have a little electrical issue, and so I was not the first one out.
Yeah.
But I did not win, but a time of my life. It was awesome.
That is awesome. This purple 4, what does that mean?
4 is my favorite number, and
Okay.
purple's my favorite color, and strawberry is my favorite food, so it's all there.
Perfect. And when you were out, that meant, like you said, the electrical issue was what? Like
I just
what?
couldn't get the car started again.
So that
Yeah.
is that ended for a
You
lot
only
of
get
people?
you only get so many seconds of not moving or not hitting somebody, and so if you don't move or you don't hit somebody, you have to break your stick, and then that says you're kind of out. But you still continue to get hit throughout the end.
Okay.
Still got to be aware.
All right. No, that's are you gonna do it again?
I would love to do it again someday. Just
Okay.
still involved. Got good friends. Help them, encourage them, stay in the pits, help them
Yeah.
out. But someday maybe I'll drive again.
Because you've been a part of the event before, but that was the first time you drove.
That
it.
I actually drove,
Okay,
yeah.
and you'll do it again.
I would.
What's something that you're interested in that most people wouldn't necessarily expect?
I'm pretty active, pretty outgoing. I don't sit down much, so I'm a pretty avid scrapbooker. So to be able to just sit in one space for a long period of time, it's surprising that I can do that. But creative mind is important too, so I do love scrapbooking. I have many, many, many books of my children growing up, and I continue to scrapbook.
Sure. The interesting part is people wouldn't think you would have the patience to sit and okay, that's good. What's something that you really want to try, but you just haven't gotten around to yet?
Traveling the world.
Sure.
Yeah, just seeing other places, really getting to know the culture of other places, not just seeing the landscaping, but being able to travel around, spending a little bit of time in all areas of the United States and possibly outside of that. But just, I want to see what it's like to live somewhere else.
So 3 places, like the next 3 places, if you could go, if you had a free year or time, and what are the top 3? What are the next 3?
Nashville, Tennessee is somewhere I'm kind of on a bucket list.
It's popular.
Yeah.
Big spot
I'm
now.
a country music girl, so I think that'd be really fun to go down and listen to the up-and-coming bands and follow them. Of Mexico, of course, I've been there a couple of times, but it's fun to see the different areas and the absolutely beautiful white sandy beaches. And then maybe up East Coast a little bit. I haven't done that too far.
Sure.
Maybe up to Michigan, even Upper Peninsula of Michigan, maybe is one that I'd like to take my mom and my sisters and do kind of a girls trip. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, there's no shortage of places to go.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So now you're stuck on a desert island.
Oh.
Yeah, I've asked this of a few people. And I think, was it the fire chief that tried to pull out if I'm on the desert island, I've got a boat, or I can't remember what it was. It was some kind of weak answer to just get off the island. And I know you wouldn't try to cheat your way around it, but you're stuck on a desert island. What 3 things do you bring with you, Sue?
Well, of course, I'm going to have to bring some strawberry seeds.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. And not just strawberries, the seeds.
The seeds,
we need more strawberries.
We're not okay with just a couple. We got to make sure it's lifelong. My lip stuff. My family might say I'm addicted, but I'm not. I just like to use it.
Okay. Doesn't sound like it. Doesn't sound like you're addicted. No.
If I could bring the 3 F's, the family, friends, and my faith,
sure.
I'd bring all those with me too.
Good. That's good. If you, last couple questions about you personally. Actually, last one. Let's just do the last one here. If you had one rule that you could make that everyone had to follow, what rule would that be?
I think this world probably would have a lot of less of what we don't want in it if everybody could just be kind. If you really have to think about being kind in every step and everything that you do, I don't know how we'd have all the poverty and the shooting, killing, unfortunate circumstances in this life if you could just step back a bit and be kind.
Yeah, that's a good rule. So anything exciting coming up for you as we wrap up here, for you personally or the Senior Center? I know you're going to, as our award winner over for senior services, I know you're going to keep plugging away, but is there anything else that coming up for you or
the Senior
that
Center?
We should keep an eye on?
Yep, the Senior Center's turning 40 this year.
Okay.
It's been open for 40 years. So in January, we're going to celebrate the full 40 years, and we'll do a little birthday party for the Senior Center. Just have a lunch, some cake, an open house. Come on in, and if you haven't seen it, see it. And if you have seen it, come celebrate it. So we'll do that in January. And then, of course, all of our fun fall activities along with the holiday lunch in December, where we bring in the high school choir and jam-pack the Senior Center and with some fun festivities for the holidays.
Good. Turning 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, not quite. Little older than Johnny, our producer, but he's catching up. Well, Sue, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Rick.